Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show where we take that stack of sources, all the articles, the research, maybe even your own notes, and we just break it all down into something you can actually use.
It's really the ultimate shortcut to getting properly informed. And today, we are diving into a topic that is, it's everywhere. It's at dinner tables, it's in scientific journals.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about metabolic health, specifically looking at appetite control and, blood sugar regulation.
Yeah, because let's be honest, you know that feeling, right? You have what you think is a perfectly good lunch, and then, like clockwork, 3 p.m. hits,
Yeah.
and the energy crash is real.
Or that ravenous hunger comes back way too soon.
Exactly. We're all trying to find that sustained energy, that satisfaction, that sweet spot that gets you from one meal to the next without feeling awful.
And that whole cycle of appetite and fullness and energy, it isn't just about willpower. It's so deeply connected to your body's metabolic health.
Right.
When your internal systems are working the way they should, how you process fuel, how you handle a glucose spike, you just feel better. You have more energy. And honestly, maintaining a healthy weight becomes so much less of a battle.
And right at the center of that entire system is this tiny but really powerful molecule that, everyone is talking about it now.
Glucagon-like peptide 1.
GLP-1 for short. Most people know it because of the big pharmaceutical drugs, but, our curiosity is really in the natural side of things.
Exactly. Our mission today is to go way beyond the headlines. We want to explore what the sources actually say about supporting this hormone naturally. We're looking at, specific foods, maybe some supplements that might act as a gentle nudge.
Like little sidekicks to the main process.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive into the research to separate the proven benefits of these nutrient-rich foods, which, let's be real, we should be eating anyway.
Yeah.
From the very specific, and I have to say, often still developing, science of natural GLP-1 stimulation.
We want to know if there are real actionable changes you can make to your diet to kind of optimize that internal metabolic environment.
And we know that you, our listener, you're looking for that thorough factual knowledge. You want the metabolic advantages without, being completely overwhelmed by technical jargon.
So we've sifted through a mountain of information to bring you some real clarity.
And that clarity is so important when you're dealing with something as complex as hormones and metabolism. And a lot of that foundational knowledge, the very structure we use to demystify these topics, it really comes from resources that are all about clear, practical advice. I'm talking about the kind of stuff you find on bfit.ai. It's just a fantastic free source for fitness, nutrition, wellness articles, and it's essential for getting that solid background that really fuels a deep dive like this.
So with that, let's start with the absolute basics. You really have to understand the conductor if you want to optimize the orchestra.
Let's do it. So let's start right there with the definition. We hear this acronym GLP-1 constantly. What exactly is glucagon-like peptide 1? And where does it even come from in the body?
Okay, so GLP-1 is a key hormone that is naturally present in your body. And what's interesting is where it's made. It's not in the brain. It's not in the pancreas.
Yeah.
It's secreted by specialized cells. They're called L cells. And they're found mostly in your lower gut and your intestine.
So it's a messenger that's made by the digestive system itself. It's like a direct line of communication between the food you just ate and, well, the rest of your body's machinery.
Precisely. And it's released mainly in response to you eating. When those L cells sense food, especially carbohydrates and fats, moving through the lower intestines, that's the trigger.
And once it's released, what does it do? You said its primary function is regulating blood sugar.
It is. It's absolutely vital for life. GLP-1 is the signal that basically tells your pancreas, hey, we have fuel coming in, get ready.
It's a heads up.
It's a heads up. Specifically, it tells the beta cells in the pancreas to produce and release insulin. It's this immediate preparatory signal.
Okay, so if GLP-1 is the initial signal, then insulin is the action commander.
That's a perfect way to describe it. Insulin then carries out the command. It tells your body's cells, your muscle, your fat, your liver cells to, open up and absorb the sugar, the glucose, from your bloodstream.
And that glucose gets used for energy right away, or I guess stored for later.
Right. And that's the whole mechanism that prevents your blood sugar from spiking to dangerous levels after you eat a meal.
That makes total sense just for basic survival and energy. But this is where it gets really interesting because GLP-1 has these other functions, these secondary functions that go way beyond just sugar.
Yes. These are the functions that have made this hormone so famous lately.
And that are driving all the weight management talk.
Exactly. So first, it slows down what's called gastric emptying. It basically puts the brakes on your stomach.
So food just sits there longer.
It stays in your stomach for a longer period of time, and it moves into your intestine at a much more controlled, slower pace.
And that would immediately lead to that other big benefit, right? Sustained satiety.
Yeah.
If your stomach is emptying slowly, you're just going to feel physically full for longer.
You are. The signal of fullness is sustained, and that's that feeling of a reduced appetite, which is obviously crucial for managing calories.
Right.
On top of that, GLP-1 also acts on appetite centers in the brain, directly reducing cravings and promoting that sense of satisfaction.
So by doing all of that, regulating sugar, slowing digestion, cutting appetite, it's boosting your overall metabolic health, which of course is going to help with weight loss if you're struggling with metabolic issues.
That analogy you hear about GLP-1 conducting the blood sugar orchestra is just so perfect. A good conductor keeps everything in harmony. Your energy is stable, you feel full, and glucose gets taken up smoothly.
And in an ideal world, your body just makes enough GLP-1 on its own to keep that orchestra playing beautifully. The system is designed to work.
It is.
Yeah.
Which brings up a really important question. If our bodies are already built with this, why are so many people looking for ways to boost it or supplement it?
Well, because the system can break down. And it usually breaks down in one of two ways, right? Type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance.
Correct. With type 2 diabetes, it's often a mix of factors, but the main issue is that the body either can't produce enough insulin or the cells have just become really resistant to the insulin it is producing.
So the command isn't being followed.
Right. The cells can't absorb the glucose, and you end up with chronically high blood sugar.
And then you have insulin resistance, which is kind of the step before that, or this part of metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
That's a bit different, isn't it?
It is. In that case, the pancreas might be working overtime, just pumping out tons of insulin, but the cells, the muscle and fat cells, have become sort of deaf to the signal.
So they're just not listening well.
They're not. They don't respond well to insulin's instructions anymore. So the pancreas has to work even harder, produce even more insulin to get the same job done, and eventually that whole system can just start to fail.
So in both of those situations, the natural little pulse of GLP-1 your body releases might just not be strong enough or last long enough to overcome that underlying problem.
It's just not enough.
So you need reinforcements for the conductor. Not just because the musicians aren't listening, but because the original signal just isn't getting through the noise of a system that's already struggling.
And that need for a metabolic boost is really the critical context for why all these solutions, both pharmaceutical and natural, are under such intense scrutiny right now.
Which is a perfect transition, because understanding that need for reinforcement leads us right to the big guns.
Right.
The pharmacological GLP-1 agonists.
Right. These are the high-impact medical interventions that are designed to fix that dysfunction we were just talking about.
The pharmaceutical approach is so fascinating because it's not just encouraging the conductor, it's like sending in a much louder synthetic version of the conductor that just refuses to leave the stage.
That's a perfect way to put it. These medications are called GLP-1 receptor agonists. And that word agonist is so important. It means they mimic or activate the natural receptor sites in your body.
So they're like a master key.
They are. They're synthetic versions of the natural GLP-1 hormone, but, and this is the critical part, they are designed to be broken down much, much more slowly than your natural hormone, which has a half-life of just a few minutes.
Wow, just minutes. So the goal isn't just a stronger command, it's a command that lasts. It's sustained. By acting as this longer-lasting reinforcement, they can improve the body's GLP-1 signaling for, days or even a week, depending on the drug.
Right, and the impact is twofold. They strongly stimulate the release of insulin, giving that big command to absorb glucose, but they also, at the same time, promote insulin sensitivity. They basically force those deaf cells to start listening again.
And the results can be really dramatic. You get effective lowering of blood sugar, but you also get those very powerful side effects of sustained fullness and a major reduction in appetite.
Which is what leads to significant weight loss in many patients.
To really get the power difference here, we should probably name some of these drugs.
Yeah, the sources list several specific examples. There's exenatide, which is Byetta or Bydureon, liraglutide, which you might know as Victoza or Saxenda, and dulaglutide, which is Trulicity.
And then, of course, the ones that have completely changed the game for weight management. Semaglutide, which is Wegovy, and tirzepatide or Zepbound.
Right. These are interventions that provide a level of chemical power and sustained effect that you simply cannot match with diet alone.
And that sets the bar. It sets a necessary expectation. So now, when we pivot to the natural world, we have to use a different vocabulary. We're not looking for a natural agonist.
No. We need to be so clear about this distinction. Is there a food you can eat that has the same chemical impact as a once-a-week injection?
The answer is a hard no.
It's an absolute no. And we need to understand why. Natural alternatives are much better described as GLP-1 stimulators, or maybe releasers.
Okay, stimulators, what does that mean?
It means they are compounds in food that encourage your body's own L cells to produce and release more of your own natural, very rapidly metabolized GLP-1.
Okay. This is the critical difference for anyone listening. A synthetic agonist mimics the hormone with extreme power and for a long time. A natural stimulator just encourages your body to use its own natural system a little more effectively.
So these natural stimulators will absolutely not have the same immediate powerful effect as a GLP-1 medication. They're not going to cause rapid pharmacological level weight loss.
Their job is different. It's about supporting your underlying metabolic function by improving your diet quality.
Right. So the role of these foods is supportive, not substitutive. They help manage blood sugar and increase fullness just because of what they are, fiber, protein, healthy fats. And at the same time, they might offer a gentle nudge to your natural GLP-1 system.
They're those sidekicks we talked about. They're helping the conductor by making sure the environment is optimized for a good performance.
And this leads us right to this great quote from a registered dietitian in our source material, which I think manages expectations just perfectly.
Yeah, this perspective is so important because it stops people from thinking they could just swap their medication for, I don't know, a special smoothie.
Right. The quote says, changing your diet won't have the same effects as a GLP-1 medication.
Full stop. That's the first part.
But it will help you feel full for longer and slow down your digestion. And then it adds, also, we are still learning a lot here, so there is more knowledge to come as time goes on.
And that just synthesizes the whole message, doesn't it? You get guaranteed immediate benefits, feeling fuller, slower digestion, just from eating these foods, no matter what the final science on GLP-1 says.
It's a very low-risk, high-reward approach. It's all about enhancing your foundational nutrition.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly. We are looking for high-quality sidekicks that support the body's natural rhythm. So let's unpack the top 5 natural candidates our sources point to, and let's make sure we hit the mechanisms and, maybe more importantly, the caveats.
Absolutely. We've sort of grouped these based on the nutrient category that researchers think might influence those L cells, or at least mirror the functional benefits of GLP-1.
So where do we start?
We start with the first meal of the day. Number 1 is protein-rich breakfasts, the morning stimulus.
Okay, so this is about timing. The research suggests that front-loading your day with protein and calcium could be a potential stimulator.
Yeah, the claim is based on what's called chrononutrition research. It suggests that eating protein and calcium-rich foods for breakfast can enhance GLP-1 release early in the day.
And the thinking is that if you set a higher baseline for GLP-1 in the morning, that can affect how full you feel and how you manage glucose for the rest of the day.
Right, which could then help with weight management.
But I have to ask, the sources are pretty clear that the evidence linking breakfast protein directly to GLP-1 is still limited. So why focus on it so heavily? Is this just, good marketing wrapped in shaky science?
That's a really critical question, and the answer is all about the guaranteed benefits. So, okay, maybe the direct GLP-1 link is still being worked out, but the metabolic impact of protein timing is not shaky at all.
Okay.
Starting your day with proteins stabilizes your blood sugar immediately. Just think about the classic high-sugar breakfast, like a sugary cereal or a donut.
Oh, yeah. Instant sugar spike. Huge insulin response.
And then a rapid crash, and you're starving by 10 a.m.
The dreaded crash. A high-protein breakfast, though, it takes longer to digest, right? So it inherently prevents that spike and crash.
Exactly. It sets a much more sustained metabolic tone for the day. So even if we take the GLP-1 promotion part out of it completely, a high-protein breakfast is still going to keep you full for longer just through physical satiety and stable blood sugar.
Which makes you way less likely to overeat or reach for, a sugary snack later in the morning.
It's a win no matter how you look at it.
So we need some actionable examples. What are we talking about here for people to actually do?
The sources mention things that are pretty easy to incorporate, 2 eggs, maybe with some veggies. Greek yogurt with fruit and nuts is a great one because you get the protein and the calcium.
What about something simpler?
Even just peanut butter on some high-fiber whole grain toast. That gives you the protein and fat you need to slow down digestion and support that early day metabolic stability.
Okay, so that's the morning stimulus. What's next on the list?
Next, we sort of expand on that idea. We're looking at lean protein, but throughout the entire day. The focus here shifts from the timing to the actual building blocks of the protein itself.
Okay, so this links back to those gut receptors, right? The claim is that lean proteins, so chicken, fish, tofu, beans, they're packed with specific amino acids. And it's those amino acids that might be directly stimulating GLP-1 release.
Yeah, the chemistry here is fascinating. Your L cells, down in your gut, they're designed to sense not just the presence of food, but specific nutrients. And the research suggests that certain essential amino acids that come from protein digestion,
Like which ones?
things like L-leucine, L-glutamine, or arginine, they may act as really powerful triggers for those cells.
So when a good dose of those amino acids hits the lower intestine, it's like a direct signal to the L cells to release GLP-1. And that starts that whole cascade of feeling satisfied and regulating blood sugar.
That's the hypothesis, and it explains a biological reality we all know. A 300-calorie piece of chicken breast is just way more satisfying than 300 calories of white bread.
Right, the signaling is totally different.
It is. And again, even if we're not sure about the exact size of the GLP-1 boost, the broader benefits are just undisputed. Prioritizing lean protein is non-negotiable for muscle health.
Absolutely. Keeping your muscle mass is so important for your metabolic rate, especially as we get older.
And protein promotes muscle protein synthesis. Having more muscle mass actually improves your body's ability to use glucose efficiently, which in itself is a defense against insulin resistance.
So the summary here is pretty solid. Adding lean protein to your meals could enhance your natural GLP-1 through that amino acid signaling. It definitely stabilizes your blood sugar, and it absolutely helps maintain and build healthy muscle. It's a real cornerstone of a good diet.
A true foundational pillar.
Okay, what's our third candidate?
Number 3, we turn to fiber. And a lot of people just associate fiber with, regularity, but its metabolic impact, especially soluble fiber, is profound.
Yeah.
And it seems to be directly linked to GLP-1 stimulation.
Well, right. And to understand this one, we really have to talk about the gut microbiome, don't we? Because the mechanism for fiber isn't direct signaling from the food itself. It's about fermentation.
That's exactly right. The key here is that grains rich in soluble dietary fiber, so we're talking oats, barley, rye, legumes, we can't digest those fibers with our own enzymes.
So they pass through untouched.
They reach the large intestine, and then they become food for our gut bacteria.
And the bacteria metabolize them, they ferment them. And it's the byproduct of that fermentation that seems to be the link to GLP-1.
Precisely. The fermentation process creates something called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. The big ones are butyrate, propionate, and acetate. And the scientific hypothesis is that these SCFAs, especially butyrate and propionate, directly interact with the L cells in the intestine and stimulate them to secrete GLP-1.
That is such a cool biological connection. You feed your good gut bacteria, they create these SCFAs, and those SCFAs then signal the conductor, GLP-1, to keep the system running smoothly.
And the benefits are huge. Besides the potential GLP-1 boost, the fibers themselves physically help manage blood glucose by just slowing down how fast you absorb other nutrients. Over time, they improve insulin sensitivity and just promote overall digestive health.
This is one of the clearest examples of a superior food swap you can make. Just replacing refined grains like white bread or sugary cereal with high-fiber whole grains is such a powerful step towards better weight management and systemic health.
And this is where we have to get practical. We need to talk about the hard numbers because most people are just falling way short on their fiber intake.
The sources are really clear on the target.
They are. The aim is 25 grams of fiber a day for women and 38 grams for men.
And to give that some context, hitting 38 grams takes real effort. A bowl of oatmeal might get you, 4 or 5 grams? A half cup of black beans adds another 7 or 8. You have to be intentional about it.
You really do. And that intentionality means you probably need to track it.
Hitting 38 grams of fiber a day doesn't happen by accident.
Not at all. It's a dedicated nutrition goal that has this profound downstream effect on how full you feel and how well your metabolism functions.
Right. So from macros like protein and fiber, we move to micronutrients. Number 4 is magnesium.
Right. And this is a mineral that already has established metabolic credentials, but its specific link to GLP-1 is, well, it's hanging on a pretty precarious piece of evidence.
We will know magnesium is an essential mineral. It's involved in hundreds of enzymatic reactions, including things vital for energy and for maintaining healthy blood sugar by improving insulin sensitivity. That's all established fact.
That is established fact. The hypothesis that links magnesium directly to GLP-1, though, that comes with the giant asterisk we need to talk about.
Which is?
The evidence for this comes from research done exclusively in diabetic rats.
Okay, that is a critical detail.
We have to emphasize this. The study showed that in diabetic rats, magnesium supplements can boost GLP-1 release and improve glucose metabolism within that specific rodent model. And that's exciting. It suggests a potential pathway. But the leap from a rat to a human is enormous.
Why is that leap so difficult? I mean, why can't we just assume what works in a rat will work in a person?
Well, for one, the human metabolic system is just vastly more complex. And the way we regulate magnesium, glucose, our hormonal feedback loops, it all differs significantly from a controlled, often genetically engineered diabetic rat model.
So the bottom line is, there's a crucial lack of research in humans on this specific effect.
A total lack. So it's a promising hint, it's a biological clue, but based on our current sources, we absolutely cannot sell it as a direct GLP-1 booster for people.
But the win-win principle still applies here, right?
It applies strongly. Magnesium deficiency is pretty common, and the nutrient has established benefits for things like blood pressure and insulin function anyway, so boosting your intake is still a very high-value action.
And what are the actionable ways to do that?
The best way is always through food first. Spinach and other leafy greens are packed with it. So are nuts, peas, beans, whole grains, seeds. Supplements are an option if you know your intake is low, but the best approach is always a varied, nutrient-dense diet.
Okay, that brings us to our fifth and final candidate, nuts.
Yes, nuts. They are a powerhouse of healthy fats, protein, and fiber. Everyone pretty much agrees they're a key part of a healthy diet. But when you look at how they influence GLP-1, you see a real scientific tug-of-war.
Right. This is a perfect example of how complex nutrition research can be. The evidence is explicitly conflicting.
It really is. We found sources that cite research showing nuts increase GLP-1 levels after you eat them, which, sounds great for almond lovers. But then we also found another study that showed decreased GLP-1 levels after eating nuts.
That's jarring. How can the same food seem to have the complete opposite effect on the same hormone?
This is why we have to be critical of the sources. The conflict probably comes from differences in how the studies were done, and we just need bigger, better studies to figure it out. I mean, think about all the variables.
Like what?
Were they using different kinds of nuts, like walnuts versus peanuts? Were the nuts raw or roasted? Salted? How much did they eat? And maybe most importantly, what was the matrix of the meal?
The matrix being what else they ate with the nuts.
Exactly. If you eat nuts all by themselves, they're mostly fat and fiber. But if you blend them into a sugary smoothie, maybe the sugar rush changes or even cancels out the GLP-1 signal from the nuts.
That makes sense.
The high fat content in nuts might make you feel full, but fat also slows down digestion so much that it could lead to a delayed or even a suppressed GLP-1 signal at first. We just don't have clarity yet on whether the fiber or the fat is the main signaling mechanism, or how different nuts with different nutrient ratios affect those L cells.
So we can't definitively say eat nuts to boost GLP-1. The claim is just too noisy right now.
That is the responsible conclusion, yes. But once again, nuts provide a guaranteed win that goes way beyond this hormone controversy.
They're just good for you, period.
They're excellent sources of protein, those healthy monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, and dietary fiber.
And eating them just boosts the overall quality of your diet. And that higher diet quality is strongly linked to better appetite control, lower risk of heart disease, and maintaining a healthier weight.
So whether your body's personal response to nuts is a GLP-1 boost or not, you are significantly improving your nutrition game just by including them. Focus on the proven nutritional density and let science figure out the hormonal details later.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really fascinating journey into the complexity of all this. So if we're going to synthesize this for the listener, we look at 5 categories: protein timing, lean protein, fiber, magnesium, and nuts.
And that unifying theme is what we've been calling the win-win principle. But I think we need to elevate that idea a bit. It's not just that these foods are generally good for you.
It's more specific than that.
It's that these specific nutrient profiles, the amino acids, the soluble fiber, the healthy fats, they're all directly involved in either stimulating the L cells or promoting the production of those beneficial SCFAs, or just simply supporting insulin sensitivity and slowing down digestion.
So there are basically 5 different routes to achieve the functional benefits of GLP-1, even if the direct hormonal effect is way smaller than what you'd get from a drug.
Exactly. They promote satiety, they delay hunger, and they stabilize blood sugar.
And while we're still learning the exact scale of their direct GLP-1 impact, the cumulative effect of actually putting all 5 of these into your daily diet is powerful enough to be worth the effort,
It moves beyond that generic eat healthy advice and into a targeted, mindful dietary strategy.
which really moves the conversation away from chasing some kind of metabolic shortcut and back towards creating a sustainable lifestyle. I mean, these mindful dietary choices are the absolute key to building that foundation of well-being.
It's all about systemic change, not some revolutionary intervention. It's focusing on the small adjustments, swapping your refined grains for high-fiber ones, making sure you start the day with protein, eating more leafy greens for magnesium.
These things that seem minor on their own.
They seem minor, but they compound over time, and they lead to really significant long-term metabolic results.
So we're encouraging you to embrace that journey. The benefit of a better quality diet is immediate, and the potential GLP-1 boost is just sort of a well-deserved bonus that's built on top of that great nutritional foundation.
It's a holistic view. You're supporting your body's natural intelligence instead of trying to overwhelm it with chemistry.
And since GLP-1's whole natural function is to slow digestion and increase satiety in response to nutrients, especially protein and fat, the goal is really functional satiety. And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to consider.
Let's push the application of this a bit further.
Okay, so we've established that the amino acids in lean protein might help stimulate GLP-1 when they reach the gut, and we know GLP-1 slows digestion. So consider the strategic question. Could the timing of when you eat your protein, specifically eating your lean protein first in a meal before you even touch the carbs, provide a better, more immediate metabolic benefit?
So the concept of nutrient sequencing.
Exactly. If you eat the protein first, the amino acids hit those L cells earlier, right?
All right.
They trigger the GLP-1 release, which starts to slow down your stomach and signal fullness before the big rush of glucose from the carbohydrates even begins.
So you're essentially getting ahead of the glucose spike.
Right. Does sequencing your protein lead to a more effective GLP-1 trigger and, as a result, a better blood sugar profile for that whole meal? It's a really compelling idea based on the science we've talked about today.
And it's something that requires, mindful application and a bit of self-experimentation from you, the listener, to see if it works for you.
It's a wonderful way to apply that idea of mindful eating and just test if that one small change in your routine makes a noticeable difference in how full you feel or how stable your energy is.
This has been an incredibly in-depth look at natural GLP-1 support. We really hope you feel thoroughly informed about that critical difference between the pharmaceutical agonists and the natural stimulators.
And that you have several practical, nutrient-dense strategies that you're ready to start incorporating into your daily routine.
Thank you for trusting us to guide you through this complex and fascinating research. Keep applying the knowledge, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the facts that empower your health journey.
Catch you on the next deep dive.
Bye for now.